It's Freaky Friday with Fuhrman and Dan and Kyle and the NFL. Hey, Todd. Are the Denver Broncos? Are they for real? They're 8-2. Is this really happening?
I mean, if we have to watch the Denver Broncos in a standalone time slot again, whether it be in London or whether it be domestically, I think people are going to want to burn their retinas out. I mean, you can make a legitimate case, guys, that they've been involved in the two worst NFL games of the entire season. The 13-11 snoozer against the Jets, and of course, whatever you want to call what we were exposed to last night. But yeah, hey, look, you are what your record says you are, according to Coach Parcells, and we're going to get a better indication of exactly how good Denver really is a week from Sunday when they play host to the defending, or I should say, reigning AFC champions.
Yeah, this has to be a strength of schedule thing we're seeing them at 8-2 with here, right? Because what are the real tests they've had in the schedule so far? They're in first place, but is that going to hold?
I mean, the defense is real good. Look, I'm not going to take anything away from that stop unit. I mean, they pretty much put Geno Smith in a body bag for the better part of 4 quarters. I mean, the guy couldn't even walk himself to the locker room at the end of the game. But we're starting to see erratic performances from Bo Nix. And I was critical, and nobody comes to me for my draft evaluations of Denver using such a high pick on Bo Nix last year. And he proved me wrong. I mean, he was outstanding in his rookie campaign, but it feels like we're watching an ongoing regression. The mechanics aren't great, and even with better weapons around there, this Denver offense, typically for the better part of 3 quarters most weeks, is hard to find. You look at how this Broncos teams have played, and yes, you get credit for comebacks, but if they don't have that ridiculous comeback against the Giants, an improbable comeback against the Eagles, even last week against Davis Mills and the Houston Texans, suddenly a team that's 8-2 is maybe 5-5, and they're fighting for their playoff lives. But here we are, 10 games into the season for them, and everything to play for in terms of the AFC West pecking order.
When I asked you last time who the team to beat in the NFL was, you said, well, until someone else proves themselves, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs are a 5-4 football team. So please tell me they are still not the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl.
They're not odds on, but they still are amongst the heavy favorites. We saw the Bills' number shorten a little bit at Bet Rivers in the wake of their upset of the Chiefs last Sunday. I mean, closed a 2.5-point dog, win that game 28-21, and it was probably the most buttoned up Buffalo had looked on the defensive side of the ball, but let's not sugarcoat it. Bills fans have been here before. They know what it means beating Kansas City in the regular season is a lot different than what it takes to knock off the Chiefs in, mid to late January. So we'll see where Kansas City can fix some of the things that weren't available for them offensively. I mean, that O-line should be a little bit healthier. But if they lose to the Denver Broncos, and suddenly we're mentioning Kansas City at 5-5, power ratings are one thing, but the odds have to be shaped a little bit differently in terms of that AFC pecking order. The challenge that comes in, though, you look around the league and you try and find the best team, whether it's in the AFC or the NFC. It feels like whatever team gets hot down the stretch is going to be the most difficult out. Still a 3-horse race, in my opinion, in the AFC. Kansas City, Buffalo, and I'm going to put Baltimore in there despite their record. And then on the NFC side, look, Green Bay more than stubbed their toe against the Panthers, losing outright as roughly a 2-touchdown favorite last weekend. But the Rams are starting to round into form. We'll see how they look on Sunday against the 49ers. The Eagles making smart deals like they always do at the trade deadline to kind of fortify that defense. And I'm still not going to write off the Packers or the Lions, 1 week's worth of results notwithstanding. So should be up in the air, to say the least. But if I would have told you before the season, guys, that going into week 10, the Carolina Panthers and the Kansas City Chiefs would have had the exact same record, I think you guys would have laughed me right off the air.
Todd, you mentioned the Buffalo Bills. They head down to Miami this weekend. -9 favorites right now and on Bet Rivers. 50 is the over-under in this game. What are you seeing on the lines here?
Yeah, it's the only 50 on the board as I look around for good old Toolsy this week. I think he's going to be absolutely repulsed seeing multiple totals in the high 30s instead. So an NFL regression week may be looming on the horizon. Look, Buffalo, in my opinion, a little bit overvalued in this spot within the division. I know Josh Allen has typically put some of his best games on the books against this Dolphins defense. Miami, of course, going the unorthodox route, deciding that they want to fire their general manager, not their head coach. They say that the problem isn't necessarily the Mike McDaniel. I think the Dolphins will do enough to kind of hang around in this game. I wonder about the Bills being able to ramp up that level of emotion that we saw on full display last weekend. So I'm not going to call for the outright upset, but I do think the Dolphins hang around, and I would sit and wait patiently for the opportunity to grab Miami plus the 10.
What about that total, though?
I mean, I'm not running to try and make a compelling case to go over. The injury to James Cook, we'll see about his availability. Now, look, Cook missed one game last year with a concussion, and it didn't really matter. I mean, Ray Davis went absolutely nuclear. The problem I have right now, Toolsy, with looking at these Bills totals trying to go over, I mean, they're incredibly stubborn when it comes to trying to establish the run. There's not much in the way of a vertical passing game to try and speak of, and you need some of those chunk yardage plays, which they can probably get on the ground against this Dolphins defense. But if I was looking at the total, would lean ever so slightly towards the under. But I've actually made the game 49, so I don't see a whole lot of wiggle room.
That Arizona-Dallas game last weekend, which had the highest total of the weekend at 53.5, you said on here that total was way too high. It scared you. And what was the final score of that one? 27-17. You were bang on.
Look, this Cowboys defense is horrific. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it any which way, but so many times when you look at these big totals, and I know we talk about it, guys, until we're blue in the face, you almost need more to go right when you're going over a total between that 53 to 55 threshold. And once Dallas marched the length of the field on the opening drive and elected to go for it on fourth down, didn't put points on the board, you knew it was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. Then all of the turnovers that factored in. So, odds makers are starting to adjust to the Cowboys brand of football, which, to use in hockey parlance, would best be described as high event, to say the least. So I think our days of being able to steal a Cowboys over at a reasonable number probably has gone by the wayside. But we'll see. I mean, they take on that much maligned Raiders offense a week from Monday. So that may take the most intestinal fortitude from bettors to trust the silver and black to actually do something productive offensively.
Todd, there's another game I want to ask you about on this weekend slate, but you'll have to bear with me while I attempt to get through this sentence. I had to rehearse it a whole bunch of times. The NFC leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers go up against the AFC second place New England Patriots. I'm sure everyone had that on their cards going into this season.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it, Kyle, is Tom Brady isn't a starting quarterback for either of these teams right
Exactly.
now. So go figure. This should be one of the better games of the weekend to watch. I mean, New England's strength of schedule to date has left a lot to be desired, but credit to them. They've taken care of business against inferior opponents. I mean, a fortuitous bounce last week, so to speak, with Parker Romo missing the extra point against the Falcons allowed the Patriots to escape 24-23. And now you get a Bucs team fresh off a bye that should be a little bit healthier, but it doesn't appear they're going to get reinforcements, at least offensively. I don't expect Bucky Irving or Chris Godwin to be out there. But Emeka Egbuka should be at full go with a chance to deal with that nagging hamstring that kind of slowed him down in the two games heading into the bye week. For me, measuring stick game, maybe more so for New England than it is for Tampa as short road underdogs, because you mentioned the Bucs and what they've been able to do record-wise. The challenge they have is after this game against New England, I mean, their schedule gets to be incredibly difficult over the next couple of weeks. So even if the Bucs get through the Patriots this weekend with a victory, we're going to learn quite a bit about them over the next few. And I think it's going to go a long way if Baker Mayfield can throw his hat into the ring, potentially as a legitimate MVP candidate, and begin to close the gap between the, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, even Drake May to a lesser extent that his number is shortened, and Sam Darnold, who's really come off the pace with some pretty crazy and improbable passing numbers leading that Seahawks attack.
Throwing you a curveball here. Former Blue Jay Carlos Delgado makes Baseball Hall of Fame contemporary ballot, which means he gets to be back on a ballot after he failed in his first attempt at the Hall of Fame. Todd, we as Canadians, we were enamored with Carlos Delgado's swing, his swagger, one of the best swings I've ever seen in person. Did his impact reach the United States? I know he played down there as well. Did it have the same impact as it had here in Canada?
I don't think it carried the same clout necessarily. I mean, you mentioned it. He did play for teams that were stateside as well, and he did have the iconic look and feel of a ball player that brought some of that swagger that you're starting to see more and more of now than what we did during his generation. Is it enough to get him enshrined in Cooperstown? I'm not sure it's going to be able to get him over the hump. But for a while and for an entire generation, I mean, he was the face of Blue Jays baseball. And not quite cut from the same cloth. I'll say to a similar extent. I mean, Vlad Guerrero has tried to embrace some of that. And we saw how Vlad, really tried to come in with some of that Canadian heritage throughout the playoffs. I mean, wearing an Austin Matthews jersey to one of the playoff games and then wearing one of the more iconic sweaters that you can find in women's hockey as well for a pivotal Game 7. But, Dan, I'm just glad that the moratorium talking about baseball has worn off and we can actually talk about that sport. I figured I was going to leave you guys at least a 3-month grieving period, given what we saw transpire Saturday night at Rogers Center.
You know what sucks, guys, for Delgado and for Roy Halladay, two of the greatest Jays of all time. They played in the worst era for uniforms for the Jays. The worst, hands down. So whenever you see clips of them, it's just tough to watch.
I mean, look, Roy, his resume speaks for itself. And anybody who was playing fantasy baseball when he was at the height of his craft, knows what it was like when you got to pencil him in as your frontline starter. So I can only imagine what that felt like for Blue Jays fans, once a week watching him go out there knowing that you were going to get 7, 8, and in a lot of cases, 9 innings strong. And the team would only have to cobble together, 2-3 runs max when he was at the height of his craft. Of course, taken from us way too soon, given that improbable, crash in that one passenger solo flight that he was a part of.
Todd, I wouldn't mind sticking with this contemporary Hall of Fame ballot for a moment to get your thoughts on two players very specifically who would obviously be in the Hall of Fame, if not for certain circumstances. And of course, referring to Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Do they belong in the Hall of Fame, in your opinion?
At this point, who are we fooling? Everybody during that generation was tinkering one way or another with their body composition. And these two guys shouldn't be penalized for something a little bit different in that regard. But it is funny when you go back and you look at Barry Bonds' transformation from when he broke into the league as a very, I'll call him a diminutive, for a lack of a better term, coming out of Arizona State center fielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates. When he was a guy that was known for his speed, he was known for his defense and being able to go gap to gap. And then you look at the size of Barry Bonds at the end of his career, and it was muscle upon muscle, a hairline that I think overtook his entire head. But he was still a treat to watch, and nobody wanted to pitch to him. So let's stop with the virtue signaling or whatever we want to call it. Put Roger in the Hall of Fame, put Barry in the Hall of Fame, and let us move on to the next generations of baseball. Because you know what? I don't want to be a naysayer here, but my suspicions tell me that Mike Trout, if he was tested consistently, might not exactly pass every single test when you look at his body transformations from where he started the season in spring training and the way things went. I'm not here to sit here and judge by any stretch of the imagination. If you're out there performing at the top of your craft, by all means, you deserve to be enshrined in Cooperstown, unless your name is Rafael Palmeiro, because then you're just a pompous asshole.
The craziest thing about the Sosa McGuire home run derby was witnessing and watching in real time. Never once did anyone suggest those guys look like they might be taking steroids. Never once did we question it.
Everybody looked like that.
It was all the merits of their own talents that were there. I think the best part, though, about Sammy Sosa after his playing days, when you looked at him and went, yeah, that's not how your body is supposed to look at this point in your life. So I don't even know if it was just PEDs that he put into his system, because he didn't even look like the same human for a long time until he was invited back. Yeah, exactly. You couldn't pick him out of a lineup. He went through the Michael Jackson treatment of sorts.
Yeah. Pretty wild stuff. Let's stick with the Blue Jays for a second here as well. Don Mattingly steps away as a bench coach. Is he going to land as a head coach or an assistant somewhere else in the major leagues?
The way I see it for Don Mattingly, if he wants to have a chance to win a World Series after being around Major League Baseball for roughly 5,500 games, he should probably see if Dave Roberts has a spot on the bench for him to go back and be part of the Dodgers to get a little bit of an inside track. Look, this is a guy who has given everything and then some to his time in Major League Baseball. You would have loved to be able to see him win a World Series as a member of that Jays organization. Would have killed me as a Yankees fan, but you wonder somewhere along the way when burnout sets in, or if he wants to really throw his hat in the ring and be part of a potential managerial cycle. But I just don't know if he's going to get that opportunity again at the big league level.
Donnie Baseball. Todd, thanks, buddy.
Hey, always a pleasure. And you know what? You guys didn't even mention the two biggest football games taking place tomorrow in your fine country. But we know how you feel about the CFL, Toolsy, so we'll make sure we study up in time for the Grey Cup, and we'll see exactly.
I honestly, without a word of a lie, no idea who's playing tomorrow. No clue.
I live a 6-minute walk from the Tiger Cat Stadium, and I wasn't sure when the game was either.
I mean, look, there you go, Kyle. It's an excellent chance to go down to Tim Hortons Field and get involved to see the Tabbies as short home underdogs against the Davis Alexander-led Montreal Alouettes. Because when you have a quarterback comes barnstorming into the league at 12-0 from Portland State, you got to take advantage. But to answer your other question, Dan, in the other matchup, it's BC on the road in Regina against Saskatchewan. Canadian temperatures, actually, I'm not going to do Celsius because I can't do math in my head. Fahrenheit temperatures expected to kick off a robust 24 degrees.
Okay, so that's below zero.
Yeah, a little bit frigid, and that's more outdoor hockey weather than it is football weather in any capacity, the way I see it.
Thanks, buddy.
Always a pleasure, guys.
By the way, Kyle, I talked to CJ Nitkowski, our World Series friend, and that's going to be up on the channel later today as we break down one play and one play only, as I have been down the rabbit hole too many times. So I wanted to clarify and see what was right, what was wrong about the IKF lead from third, in which he got thrown out at home in the bottom of the ninth. And we break that one play down, so no stone is left unturned.
I won't offer my thoughts on it because I'm sure I can't add anything to that conversation. I didn't have a huge problem with it in the moment because of what had happened the night before.
There was so much going on.
There was so much happening. You factor in what happened to end the game the night before. I'm having trouble letting go of replaying moments of those last two games in my head. I really honestly thought I wasn't this person, but I'll be laying in bed just about to doze off and I see the bat break and the ground out again, or the ball stuck in the wall, or whatever it is. And I'm having trouble letting go, man. I'm having trouble.
So you got to sing the Frozen song, Let It Go. Sing that over and over. And then also I keep reminding myself, but man, that was fun to do it all together, to do it as one. And we've got something to talk about all off season. So yeah. I'm just taking the joy in that baseball is back, baby. What else we got on our
Bo Bichette? They extended a qualifying offer to Bo Bichette. I don't know if there are details of what that offer is, but it's on the table for him. They wasted no time. That is a good and smart decision. And I am of the opinion you got to bring that guy back.
Yeah, 100%. And the Leafs assigned Easton Cowan, who we talked about on Wednesday's show. Was it Wednesday or Monday with Pierre Maguire? And I asked for his report card, and he said incomplete. So Easton Cowan's report card with the Leafs will remain incomplete as he's sent to their farm team.
I did a post-game show with Pierre this week after the Mammoth game, in which the Leafs played very, very well. They had a decisive win. Matias Michelli returned to the lineup to face his old team and was arguably the best player on the ice. But more importantly, they got goals from all four of the big guns: Nylander, Matthews, Nyes, and Tavares, number 501 on the career. The game started with a really good ceremony honoring him and his family for the 500th goal. That was good to see. They've won 5 of their last 6. They've got the Bruins tomorrow night. We discussed it on the show. We wouldn't declare this team having turned around their fates yet. They need a few more good games under their belt, but they're looking better than they started off, and just in time after the Blue Jays season finished.
And Joseph Wall is closer to return. That's according to his coach, Craig Berube. He's on a personal leave, and he said he's practicing with the team. He's not going to give a timeline in case he's not back by that time, and they're going to say what happened. So he's leaving it open-ended. So that's good news on the Wall front as he continues to get things sorted, and we wish him the best. And Kyle, I wish you the best this weekend. I'm going to go see my cousin in a play called Into the Woods here in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada.
Fun.
So if you live in this region, go buy tickets, support local theater. And it's for the entire family.
Dan, that sounds like a really fun weekend. I am off to Reno, Nevada
to
be a part of the taping of Poker Night in America.
Are you playing poker
show? It depends. They could need a last-minute sub, and I can't think of a quicker way to lose my money than playing with that crew of people. There is one more thing I want to ask you about, sticking with hockey briefly. Have you seen the newly unveiled Team Canada Olympic jerseys?
Oh, right. We saw these just before. So not a fan of the white jerseys, but
don't love it.
The all red, I think, are Yeah, that's
That's
spectacular.
sharp. That's spectacular. That 3D effect on the leaf, that looks real good. It's I like how it's clean. It's a lot going on with the leaf, but otherwise the jersey's not too busy. I absolutely dig this. Good on them.
Yeah, and
It's a
just
good look.
another reminder that we have NHL players in the Olympics this year. It's going to be amazing. Where are the Olympics?
Italy. I think
Italy
they're
again.
in they're in Italy this year, and I think we are on this channel planning to do a great deal of Olympic coverage, which I think will be fantastic because it's basically a month-long national holiday when the two Canadian men's and women's team are playing for gold.
All right, I can't wait to go to Italy. It's going to be fun. See you later.
Well,
Have fun in Reno.
thank you.